Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I'd show you guys how I go about making a kind of medieval cottage. Now I know I've done a lot of these small scale houses, but it's been a little while since I've done a house tutorial, so I kind of want to go and start from kind of an easy foundation and build up to more complex medieval buildings, so things like castles, etc. and larger houses. So I wanted to start off with this kind of small cottage today. So I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of the materials. Now, as per usual, I'm using my resource pack for this, so if you haven't downloaded that, then go down to the description below. There's a link to my Planet Minecraft submission where you can download the main pack and the add-on, and those should be up to date. So yeah, just make sure you have those installed. But if you don't want to use my pack and you're using default, well then you can always just use kind of blocks which are a good equivalent. So for example, where I'm using these sorts of supports, you could always use stair blocks, and when I'm using these, you could use things like trapdoors. So it's not the end of the world if you're not using my pack, but you know, it helps and it adds a lot more to the realism if you do. So I'm literally gonna just build a house. I haven't decided what exactly this is gonna look like yet. All I know is I'm gonna build a house. So I'm basically gonna walk you guys through the process I go through of designing a house and kind of building it. So it's not going to be a diagonal house, it's going to be just kind of a long single floor, so it's going to have a ground floor and an attic house. So the first thing you want to do is kind of plan out the build. So what I like to do is, and we do this on Diverging Realms a lot, is to kind of do a kind of a plan using these kind of corners and single blocks like this. Okay, so this would be the floor plan of my house. So what you could do now is, I'm not actually going to do an interior for this house, mainly because that'll take a long time. I'm going to do interior for this house in a separate video, because I want to do a whole video on interiors. So yeah, this would be the wall plan. So again, you can do whatever you want, but for this one, if you want to follow this design, it is basically a 7 by... hang on a minute. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7 by 11. 7 by 11 house. So now what you want to do is you kind of just want to fill in these gaps here. Now I'm going to add a floor in for this, mainly because it's just helps with the planning process. So you might want to add your floor in now. You don't have to, but I'm doing it because it helps me personally. But I'm not going to do any details to the floor, I'm just kind of building it like that. Okay, next what you want to do is you kind of want to start adding in your windows and doors. So what I like to do on this kind of design is I like to do these windows on either end like this. So I like having 2 windows, and I do the same on this side as well. Now what I would do is I would fill in these walls, and then what we can do is we can go in and kind of add the windows and the door later on when we've kind of come to that stage. You might also want to add, actually I don't know. I'm not sure. Sometimes I do a raised roof here, sometimes like a higher wall, sometimes I don't. But I think because this is kind of a low to middle income house, I'm not going to. So now what you want to do is, I realised I forgot, I need my all over spruce wood. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to get your log type. Now I love using these spruce logs in my pack because I think they just look great. These are Jermsy Boy textures. So what you want to do is you want to place these kind of blocks in each corner, and then you want to join them up with normal logs. Like this. Okay, now as you can see here, it is really starting to come together. Now, if you're in creative mode, then you can do this quite easily. But what I like to do is I like to rely on the debug stick just to kind of make it so they look like actual beams here. So I like to make it look like, so there's one solid beam going across the side and then having this upwards log texture on the front or the back, I suppose you could say. Okay, so once you've done that, we're now going to go in and add things like these supports, because I think it's kind of a good stage to add the different supports and stuff. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is add the kind of main ones. So what you could do is you could add these kind of 2 beam ones, or you could go in and add the single beam in the middle. I'm going to add a single beam in the middle because it adds a little bit of variation, kind of mixes it up a bit. In between these, I like to add the kind of support, I don't know what the right word would be, plate I guess you could say. I think that works. I also like to add these kind of supports here. Now I do them, because it's an even number, you can do them in kind of a certain interval. However, I'm just going to do mine like this. So I'm going to have 2 beam there, but instead of using those full plates, I'm just going to use these single bars. I think my terminology is correct. I'm not really sure how to describe it. Again, I'm doing this live, it's not scripted, so just kind of going with the flow. Okay, so you've got your kind of supports done, and I think that's pretty much it for things like supports, etc. You don't really need to add any more, at least I don't think so. If we do, then we can always grab them. Okay, so the next thing you want to do now is you kind of want to plan out your roof, and you know what, I just realised I missed out the most important material, the roof material. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the, I can find it, there we go. We're going to use the end stone bricks in my pack, which look like a kind of dark thatch colour. Now, what you want to do now is we want to kind of lay out the roof, so we're going to do that now. Now this is a bit of a pain to do, however you can kind of get the hang of it. But basically you want to bring it out so this kind of roof frame is 1 block out from the main wall, or like the base of the house you could say. Okay, there we go. Now you don't want to do it here though, because basically what we're going to do now is we're going to take our stair blocks or our roof blocks and just bring them all the way across here, like that. Now you want to do that on each side. Now from here you can probably guess what we're going to do. We're just literally going to construct the roof. Although I'm not going to fast forward this section, just in case there's anything I kind of need to explain or touch upon with the roof. Now with these, what we want to do is, for this block, only this block, because for the rest of this we're going to be doing the stair blocks like this. For this one you want to have it so it's facing the log, and that's because we're going to be using these beams going across. So what you could do now, for example, just to make the process a bit easier, is to just add a single beam of your kind of wattle and daub or dab blocks. I don't know, daub, I'm going to say daub blocks here. So you can add this beam across, and this kind of adds a nice trim to the look of the building. So we'll just complete this side of the roof here, and then I can kind of go in and do the rest of it in a second. Okay, now it's up to you how you want to do the end trim. You could bring it in like this, or you could kind of have it so it's a lip. I'm personally going to do a... Actually, I'm not sure. I'm going to do it like that because I think that looks right, and I think because it's kind of a lower income building it wouldn't necessarily be super fancy, so I'm just going to do it like that. Okay, so this is how your kind of walls will look. Now they're going to look really weird, so I recommend using a debug stick or Exuma Void's kind of glazed terracotta wrench data pack to kind of rearrange these. But now the trick with this is to just kind of make it look how you want it to look. So this is, again, this is kind of a subjective process, but you kind of want it to look somewhat realistic to, you know, kind of a look you're going for, I guess. Okay, that works. So I'm just going to go with that, and also you might have noticed I punched out a hole for the window as well. We're going to go in and add all the windows last, but I just like to kind of punch that hole in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this side, and I'm going to try and mirror the kind of design. Okay, so now I want to kind of go in and at least attempt to make this look like the other side. Again, this is a very like kind of subjective process, so you might not like how I've done the kind of support beams here. You can make them look however you want, really. I just like them to look somewhat realistic in regards to the whole build. So again, you want to make sure you add your kind of support beam here. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm jumping around a lot. I'm just kind of showing you guys how I go about building these kind of houses. I didn't want to do like a really formal tutorial because I don't really like doing those. I just wanted to kind of build and just kind of go with it, really. Okay, so now we just got to fill this roof in. There we go. So there are lots of different kind of, as we fill in the roof here, there are lots of different kind of things you can do with a roof to make it look less repetitive and boring. So one thing we like to do, and it's something I learned from the guys at Diverging Realms, is you can kind of add these kind of full blocks into the roof. Now this gives the appearance that it's not really a perfect roof. It's got kind of clumps of thatch, you know, and it shows that it's old and it's, you know, not super fresh, so it's good to kind of add these clumps. Now you don't have to do this because to some people it will look really weird, It's all about personal taste at the end of the day. So, you know, you don't have to add these, but it's just something I like to do. Okay, I think that'll be enough there. One thing I will mention though is with the corners, I don't always like to do kind of a block corner like this. Sometimes I like to do a cornered, kind of a cornered stair like that, or I just remove them completely, so that there is a kind of curved edge to the kind of long house, I suppose you could say. So I'm going to do that on this one. You don't have to do that. You could do a straight stair, or you could do a curved stair, or you could just leave it. You know, it's up to you. But this is just how I like to do it, so I'm gonna do it like that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the main basis of the house done. We can now kind of get on with doing these windows. Now the windows are a kind of cool process because you can kind of do whatever you want with those. You could do glass, you could do fences, you know, you can do whatever. I'm personally going to do fence windows and stuff because I don't really like using glass for mine, mainly because I don't have a decent glass texture, so I'm just going to use fences. Okay, so for these I'm going to use spruce because I think the spruce looks good. I normally use dark oak, but I think in this case, actually I'm not sure. No, I'm going to use spruce. Okay, so in this case we can have a proper kind of window shutter design here. So you kind of got the supports and you got the shutter itself. However, down here you can't place a block here because we have the button, so you can just place these on top. Or alternatively, if you don't like the way that looks, you can always just place it so they're on their side instead, which actually does look a lot better in some cases, so I'm just going to do that. Again, just go with whatever looks right. You know, you could always use a different kind of shutter. You know, you could always use the dark oak, which in my opinion actually does suit this build a lot better, so I'm going to do that. You know, it's kind of proof as we're building here. You know, you will change things up as you build. It's you know, there's nothing wrong with doing that. If anything, it's a good thing because it's good to kind of change and kind of try different blocks and block choices. Okay, so one thing I will mention is because I've changed to this kind of dark oak trapdoor, I have decided to now use dark oak for the fences because I think that just suits better with the dark oak in general. So I just need to replace these. Ooh, that's the main block. Butterfingers today. And there we go. Okay, so that's basically the main house done. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go about adding the main entrance to the door and other windows, and we can also go about adding a bit of texture variation to the base of the building and also the plaster. So I'm just going to grab some cobblestone stairs as a kind of step up, and I'm also going to grab my variation block. So I'm going to add these stone bricks and the andesite and diorite, and I'm also going to get my spruce door, and as I go I will punch in holes for windows. I'm just going to kind of add the windows last like I did last time. Okay, so I'm going to add my door here. Now I like to do something like this, it's pretty cool. I found this kind of door design, I found it a lot of people use it, you know, it's just kind of a cool little step up because it makes sense for the foundations to be slightly raised. Now what you could do here is you could add a extra stair block, but I don't personally like to do that. This is somewhere where I would kind of add, I don't know, kind of stacked barrels or something like that just to kind of break it up, but again it's up to you. Okay, next I'm going to add some holes for windows, so I think I'm going to add one there. Actually no, I'm going to move that one over, so I'm going to add that one there. Now this room, so to speak, you've got to kind of segment the house in your mind. So I want to kind of segment this into 3 separate spaces. So I'm going to have a bedroom on this side. So this section of the house is going to be a bedroom, and then I'm going to split the last section in 2. So one's going to be kind of a storage area and kind of leisure area, and the other is going to be the kitchen. So I kind of want to make the windows make sense. So what I'll do is I'll kind of add one on the back just here, and this will be right next to the division between the bedroom and the kind of rest of the house. Okay, next I'm going to add now that we've done the windows, I'm going to add the variation with the base, like the base stone foundation and the plaster and cobble. So I'll do the cobble and plaster cobble first because that's kind of the easier one. With this, you basically just want to go in with some white terracotta and just replace some of the white plaster and cobblestone blocks with the plaster. Now all that, well, with the white terracotta, all that does is it just breaks up the textures a little bit and adds a bit more variation in the wall, as opposed to just having straight cobblestone textures. While there are lots of different variations of the cobblestone, so it doesn't look super repetitive, it's good to kind of break it up with more plaster, so then it's not overwhelming with all the cobble. Especially considering that the foundation of the base itself, or the house even, is made of cobble, or is primarily cobble. So next what you want to do is you want to add the texture variations to the foundations. Now I like to use my grey bricks here as a kind of base, so I add the grey bricks first. Again, you want to be quite sparse with these because it's quite a dominant texture, so you want to kind of lay off on those a little bit. Next to the grey bricks, I then like to add my stone bricks as a kind of transition texture. Again, those don't have to necessarily be next to the dark stone bricks, but it works because they're a similar texture. Okay, so that's enough on the stone bricks. Now we're going to go in and add the andesite. So again, this is something you might want to add on the other side of dark stone of the grey bricks, or kind of around them. So in here, for example, I don't really like how this looks, so I think I'm going to remove that stone brick and just replace it with a bit of andesite. Again, it's kind of like what I always say in my videos. This whole process is very subjective, so just kind of do what you think looks right. Don't take my word for it. Just kind of play around, have a go, and just test different textures and things that you like the look of. And I'm sure you'll find something that you really enjoy. Okay, so I'm gonna remove that and instead put stone bricks there. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it for the texture of the house. Now you could go in and add greenery, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add a few vines. Now I'm hoping these don't grow because my tick speed should be 0. Okay, so cool, these aren't going to grow. So I'm going to add the vines and then I'll add windows. So I like to add vines because it just shows a little bit of growth. So what I like to do is I just do very small kind of speckled amounts on the house. Especially on the back where there would be kind of less going on, less activity. I like to add a few vines. Or I suppose you could say it looks more like ivy, I suppose. Okay, so we've added the vines now, and now we're just going to go in and add our last windows. Here. Again, another thing as well, with these window shutters, you could place it here, however because this is quite an open space, it would be good to take it up with the trapdoor, so that's why I kind of went about placing it there. And again on this side I'm going to place it there. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else that we can do, because things like chimneys etc. are going to be something I add when we do the interior, which will be in my next one of my coming tutorials, hopefully coming out in October. So yeah, anyway, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making this kind of house. It's one of those things where you just got to go for it, really. You just got to try different things, try different techniques, and eventually you'll find something that looks really nice. But yeah, anyway, I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Make sure to check out the Discord and comment down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, guys.